Hello, here is my vocation in context. I read the book Head and Heart by Howard Thurman, and it's an autobiography about his life as a Black man in the 1920s who was born in Atlanta, Georgia. He lost his father at a pretty young age, and Howard's mother ensured that he was surrounded by people who taught him that what he did with his life mattered. Divine providence is clear in Howard's life story as he was afforded opportunities and experiences that not many in his day ever imagined. Yet Howard remained humble, and despite his circumstances, he was willing to see the good in others. His writing is a tribute to his humility, as his story is told from the perspective as one that was observing all these amazing accomplishments of those surrounding him. Yet he never, he was aware that he was among numerous people that were striving for new possibilities. Yet he never took credit for inspiring or leading them in powerful ways. And he states that his major concern was always for ways to deepen the spiritual life of others. And he was also very much a part of this journey, discovering things for himself. And Thurman's ability to share his own personal experiences and be vulnerable really provided the context for his church to develop the resources so that members began to know it as a place of spiritual renewal, found powerful friendships, and a very special community there. The book makes a wonderful case for the power of faith and how God works through people of all races, genders, ethnicities, social classes to bring about social change. Thurman notes that being a Black man in a predominantly white society was what led to movements of injustice and bigotry that he brought to his church and really opened the door for teachings and action. And so, as a church together, they dared to embody the living witness of Christ. Inspiring many to take personal responsibility for change was Thurman's gift. He would move them in directions so that they could see what they could accomplish in their own lives, in their families, and right in their own neighborhoods. Thurman states that the core of his preaching was around the development of inner resources that offered renewal and fresh courage. And in fact, his conviction for his church that it was a resource for activists. So when they came, they could come and find this spiritual renewal within his church. He realized really early on that it was fellowship with others and finding a way to understand each other that was the key to nurturing sympathy and exercises in goodwill towards one another. Howard and his wife, they were confident that that could any division within their group could be overcome if meaningful and creative experiences were shared in the church and able to be sustained for a sufficient duration. This conviction led to many fresh movements, which involved art, dance, and music, and it brought unity to a very diverse flock. The spiritual discovery that was taking place at Fellowship Church, where he was the pastor, it it was biracial and it caused curiosity that extended out and drew in people from all over. Thurman's story is powerful because we can really witness how the love of other people and their sponsorship enabled Thurman to develop a sense of self-worth and purpose. When he was confronted by the fact that Christianity was flawed and manipulated to justify slavery, Thurman sought his conviction in the life of Jesus. And this resonated with me because, much like the women's liberation movement, despite what scriptures say, one can't deny that Jesus actually empowered and entrusted women to progress his ministry. Jesus speaks of freedom and justice for all people. And faith in this is what Howard Thurman stood for. He learned from other faith traditions and leaders, and he even studied philosophy, which lent a powerful new perspective to his own faith. And I was really encouraged that while Thurman was unsure of how all this training would ultimately be expressed, he followed that intuition and allowed God to take the lead. So God did open the doors so that many of these intuitions that he sensed came to reality. I was particularly moved by the insights shared by Gandhi in this book. One thing that Gandhi stated, he pointed out that colonial um, nations that forced their colonization, they took away the ability for the nations they took over to actually create the finished products of the things that they were making and exporting. So Gandhi included in part of his attack the revival of the spinning wheel and farming so that the people of India were able to continue to produce the essential needs and maintain their self respect in a non-violent way. Plus, Gandhi imparted wisdom upon Thurman that the self respect and the insistence of civil rights, it can't just be the rhetoric of the leaders. It has to be rooted in the masses so that it could generate the energy to resist and also demand justice. And I found this was really enlightening, but I also found it sobering that Gandhi told Thurman that the ways that Christianity is practiced within America is the greatest enemy to Jesus Christ. This really elicits in me a sense of responsibility. And so I can see why Thurman was really focused on fellowship with God, and this was the foundation of his ministry. And towards the end of the book, he realizes and points out that it really wasn't so much the action of the church, but who they were committed to being and being with God that made the difference. And so this makes me realize that I really need to strive to lead others to just be with God. And so I'm going to allow this to influence my own ministry. I feel like it's such a powerful revelation. So that's what I got out of the book. I hope you'll read it. It's an amazing book. So enjoy.